We appreciate your support a lot and hope we'll be able to give back a lot as the time goes. So, apologies first of all, because we were not able to do a community call in September or early October. This is due to two facts. The first fact, of course, that we work a lot. We are in a deep building phase. Doesn't look like this from the outside because it looks that we're focusing on our successful project, which is Quest. We have part of the team that's doing that, yes, and I think Quest is the topic that we should keep talking about this month. But there's also other things happening in the background that we will eventually be able to show you guys. Okay, maybe we should start. It's already the 13th community call. We've been live for over a year now, so that's nice. It's interesting that the protocol has been live for over a year. We're now starting to see some significant revenue opportunities that we can basically start to exploit. So the goal is, how do we grow Paladin to the next level? So first, let's talk about Holy PAL and tokenomics. We roughly have 7.2 or 3 million PAL that are circulating. That is the equivalent of a bit less than 50% of the supply that's circulating. Something to take into account that we keep saying is that a significant margin of this is actually DAO owned and provided as liquidity. That's roughly at least 2 or 2.5 million PAL. So that means that out of this circulating supply of 15%, we're roughly at actually 10% of circulating supply that's owned by users. I think that's important, and that's one of the reasons why we keep doing emissions, because we want to keep distributing and to keep pushing the project. Out of this, we have roughly 47% that's staked and 29% that's locked. You have to raise it much more if you remove the LPs from the DAO. So I think we have really good metrics. There hasn't been that much locking. People are still locking, and we're very impressed that this still goes. The very small reason why that is that we haven't announced tokenomics, or we haven't announced any advancement on this. We want to talk about this actually right now. So here's a very small, and without dates, release dates, tokenomics roadmap. We have just reduced emissions. This was a debate we had on Discord, but also internally, and was voted through the less liquidity mining. Basically, what we're doing is that we're moving the PAL Stake Aave emissions through Quest to the PAL Stake Aave pool. It's to provide more wood utility, as the PAL Stake Aave pool is not bringing any yield to the DAO, and we think it's very important that we stick the emissions we do to yield that's earned by the DAO. When we spend money, 1 PAL for Quest, we're always getting more than what the equivalent in dollars in BAL, CRV, CVX, or Aura. Actually, for some of them, we're even getting 2, maybe 1.7 right now. So this means that the protocol is net positive on its emission. Each cent we spend is money earned for the DAO. And I think that's something very important to take into account. So that's the first thing. We think it's a phase that's important to basically for us to be able to be sustainable in the bear market. This is now live. The second thing that we're doing right now, we have talked about it a multiple number of times. Some community members have started to work on the sister DAO. Internally, we call the sister DAO Warlord. So if you hear about Warlord, we're referring to the sister DAO. It is now in development phase, and we hope that it will go out at some point. And maybe in the next community call, it might be interesting to have some people of the Warlord team chatting about it. And yes, alpha. But alpha is good. Another alpha, and I think that's the most important part, is that the main first reason right now why you should have a locked PAL is simply that these are the people who are going to get airdrop Warlord tokens. I'm not saying more how it's going to happen, why, but this is the first thing on the agenda around tokenomics. And then after that, we will go in prod and release the chest. That's basically what we're working on for the roadmap of the tokenomics. So yeah, a lot of things to come on. We really intend to create value around the PAL token for full disclosure, and I think that's something to take into account. We have not given out equity to investors out of the company. This is not because of any other reason than we believe that the whole value of the project is going to be around PAL. So yeah, now as the project starts to grow, it's time to start giving value to PAL, and I think that's something we really need to do. Okay, let's talk about money. It's always the pleasing fact. There's a few things to take into account. One, there's more tokens than before. That's because we've had a growing list of investors. This is from roughly early September to mid-October. So there's quite a few days left before the end of the month, and a few things to take into account. The first one being that before the end of the month, some large quests are going to be renewed, probably, maybe liquidity, if everything goes right. And the second one is that the DAO is probably going to raking a lot of aura this week. So the DAO is going to make much more money than what is currently written by the end of the month. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are growing. We're going to talk a bit more about this. Quest is doing well, so I think that's an important. It's not just the POAP that's earning us money. As time passes, even though the revenue percentage over the last 2 months hasn't grown, the percentage of what Quest brings us versus the POAP has been growing. So I think that's a very positive outlook, and we're still on track to make 100K a month by the end of the year. That's the core goal. Okay, moving on to money questions. Protocol on liquidity. It has been our main source of revenue. This is slowly declining. This is due to several things. First of all, we haven't been filling our quest on balancer. We're slowly starting to learn how to get this better. They've been filled for the last 2 weeks. Probably won't be the next week. Another part that's limiting the revenue from the protocol on liquidity, even though it's still good, is that we have an insufficient volume. So this is due to 3 things, we believe. The first one is that there's something called the French curse, where tokens tend to have low volume, especially lower volume, but it's more generally true for European projects because Americans are populations that tend to trade much more than French and European in general. So there is less of these. We do not have a market maker. Maybe we should. This is up to discussions, but there are prices to have that. And we haven't announced or activated tokenomics, so there is less incentive to hold our token. The second thing I think on that topic that's important is that even if we do, our tokenomics are not made for traders. So we are looking to solutions to trade. It has been suggested to us that we should deploy liquidity on another chain, maybe Polygon, for example, where we would be able to enable smaller bags to trade with PAL. So, and yeah, that's also true that actually European hands are diamonds, and you can actually check on Dune. There's some dashboards to look at the holders. We had some time where it went down, and then when the bear market started, just people stopped selling, which is pretty good. Like, we're very happy about that. The goal that we should set ourselves over the next year haven't changed. Get over 100K a month by the end of the year and accumulate $2 million of stablecoin by the end of 2023. So we're still on track. There's nothing that should stop us from doing so. We're not allocating resources excessively, nor as a core team, nor as a DAO, which I think are 2 boons, especially in the current ecosystem, and we have growing revenue. So the metrics are nice. Personally, I'm very proud of that. Okay, next. Instead of redoing a slide about Warden v2, which hasn't had changements, I would like to explain a bit what's happening with Warden. We released Warden end of February, and we broke vBoost when we did that because we did some complex interactions with it, and we wanted to basically be able to be live with it. It took us up until end of July for Warden to really start working, and it was harder to grow at that point. 1, because the market had stopped, and also 2, because the product was actually released quite a while before. So we tried a few things. Something that when we looked at our product and we did a rundown around it, we realized that the user experience around Warden, especially for people who were buying Boost, was still not ideal. If some people are very smart, they will find out that we're working on something. There are ways to find out. It's not via the core team. If you look around, you might see something new. But hopefully, we'll have something to show you guys in a few months. That before the end of the year, I hope. So yeah, we're still not abandoning Warden. We probably never will. We think there's a huge leverage to basically work around Boost, not just on curved bouncer, but any type of Boost. And I think Warden is going to become the crux of this. And just to give you a bit of taste of this, we actually have been contacted by several projects who are implementing Boost and like, hey, maybe Warden would be relevant for us. I think that as a DAO, we have to think who is actually going to be large revenue drivers for us and who could we work with. So yeah, that's it about Warden. For quests, we have a new partner that just launched yesterday. This is actually very important for me because I'm a very big fan of the mission and the product that Inverse has been creating. So I'm really happy that we can collaborate with them. I think we're going to do some really cool stuff with them. They're also a very large user of both Votium and Hidden Hands. So if we're able to provide them first with full votes and two with a very high quality product, I think we can do some extremely good business with them, and on the long term, because this is actually a great project. This leads me to the actual state of Quest. Quest is doing really well. We have 5 quests, less than we basically 3 out of 5 of them are basically from other projects. It's slowly getting the traction we want to. We're still far, like we're discussing with a very big number of projects about them using it. The good news is that we're actually realizing that on Quest we have a very strong product market fit. We have to realize that right now we're managing 75% of all of the bribes on the VCRV layer. That's pretty crazy. It's 4 out of 6. There are also much more bribes on the convex layer and on the VCRV layer. So we can discuss this later, but it's probably going to be one of our growth axes. Yeah, and we're still kind of in a gridlet and balancer. We're hoping to get this unlocked probably in November. It's an ecosystem that takes a bit more time to foray into. But Quest is a working product. It's bringing us good money. It's simply works. I don't have anything else to say. We want to keep working on and making it better, but we think we've also reached a point where it can also be interesting for us to have the operational part grow it, and the technical part maybe focus on other products. So yeah, that's it for Quest. Feel free to ask questions, by the way. If I'm going too fast, I apologize about that. Okay, so about Paladin. And yes, there is another leak on this picture. Nothing much has changed. Even thought we're still in the bear market, like the APY hasn't changed too much. And we still believe Go is a huge opportunity for us. Well, we more than believe it. We're starting to have a good idea on how it's going to benefit Paladin. So we're working on something special for that release. Honestly, I think that Go, and that's on the personal basis, is not just going to impact the way we work with Paladin lending. It's going to also impact the way we work with Boost and the way we work with Quest. There are some huge opportunities around this, and probably leak on this slide, but I will let people guess. Now, about governance. So we actually haven't done a community call in September, so quite a few things have gone through. We have reworked our fees on Quest. There's a saying that you should focus on market share and not revenue. I hate this saying in startup land. I think it's bullshit. You also have to get revenue, especially if you don't intend to raise again or you don't know how the market's going to be. We have been lowering our fees. We dropped down to 5%, and we're now trying to do 4% with a decreasing floor depending on the size of your bribe. It has been starting to working out. Like people who we didn't talk to before or were hard to negotiate with have become much easier to work with, simply because they see that we're ready to do the efforts to work with them. I think we should stop playing around with the fees now that we have a working model. This was PPV2, and the 3 that's about to pass to hope 4%. I hope. Please feel free to participate in the community call to basically make this happen. We are moving from Immunify to Hats Finance for our bug bounties. This is for right now for Warden, Boost, and Quest. And we changed the emission schedule with the liquidity adjustment number 7. There's 3 proposals that are live. 2 of them that are still more in research. First one is about Quest fees reduction. We discussed about these. There's also one that's up for vote right now with Arrakis. We're moving our liquidity V3 from Angle, from Uniswap V2 to V3 via Arrakis. The reason why we're doing this is for 3 reasons. The first one is that Uniswap V3 is more efficient. The second one is that right now we're on Uniswap V2 via a loan from Angle, so they won't give us a gauge if we do that. What's interesting is that we can replicate the yield strategy we have on Curve and on Balancer with Angle. So we intend to do so. Our deal with Arrakis would allow us to do so. Something else that's important is that Uniswap is still 75% of the market for swaps, right? Curve and Bouncer have really interesting value proposal, but they're not as big as Uniswap. Now that Uniswap has a foundation, they have the legal structure to be able to build DAO tokenomics. They should be able to do so, and it has been more or less explicitly said by a few actors. So we believe that first of all, starting to work a bit around Uniswap, working with the Iraqis people who are top of the class and understand Uniswap very well and know the team is going to help us find an angle where we can actually position Paladin with too. So I think that's really important that we can try not managing our own liquidity because it's hard to be profitable in Uniswap V3. We're able to have these angled yield that are going to come to us and also helps us enter the ecosystem of Uniswap, which I think is really big. Okay, and basically we just posted the PGP 23 today, which is about refinancing our angle loan. So it's the continuity of this proposal. So that's it for governance. A lot of things are happening. Please go on the forums. Just answer the poll if you don't have anything to say. And if you have something to say, express yourself because, as always, we need you guys to participate. Okay, last but not least, and then I will stop talking because I'm very tired of speaking so much. Our focus right now over the next few months is going to be around growing Quest, especially around the convex and balancer. We're working internally on two stuff, which are going to be our boost product. How do we make it a lucrative vertical? And how do we adapt our Pasteka Vevo to GHO? And the last thing, which is not up to us actually, it's more up to the community, to the people working in it, but we could help hopefully, is to release Warden. So yeah, that's about it. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening. I don't know how much you guys realize. Like, there's a lot of projects that are really down bad. We are not in this case. It's true a bit for the token, but that's about it. So yeah, we're very happy about the situation Paladin is in, and we want to do better, much better. Okay, Alejandro, you can take over.
Awesome, thanks, Fige. Hey guys, so yeah, just wanted to recap on the community initiatives that we've been working on. Even though we haven't had anyone ask questions this week, we still have office hours once a week, once every Wednesday, 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern and 5 p.m. Central European time. Of course, the office hours link is channels in the server. And once you're there, you can ask a question, and we can put you in the private room, and you can ask me or any other team member any questions you have. It's just a time that I have to set up that's specifically catered to the community. Next slide. And game night, yes. So next game night will be happening today at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, 2100 or I believe 9 p.m. Central European time. There's a poll created weekly, as always, on Discord for game choices. Today's Zero Tech Grinder asked if we could play some Discord games. I'm not opposed to that at all. So that's happening in a few hours. Once again, it's something to keep the community going together. And you can see some past experiences we have in the bottom right. And also this popular game in the top left that we've been playing. And next slide. POAPs. So yes, if you attend this call, you will receive a POAP. We have a very nice theme POAP to give out. So please be patient. I'll be distributing it manually to each person that's been on this call. And you'll have until October 24th to claim one, which I believe is this upcoming Monday. So please do so before then. And next slide, please. Oh, okay. And we have the AMA section. So, guys, yes, if you have any questions right now that you want to ask on the mic, feel free to come up or ask in the chat, in the community AMA chat. Please do so.
So, to answer OX Tech Grinder, I'll just give you the very broad outline of what the sister DAO is going to be. The idea of Warlord is that Paladin as a DAO should not have any assets outside of a dev fund. The reason why we want this to be the case is that we would like Paladin to basically be a neutral layer in crypto. And as long as you have treasury, you're going to attract different people who are going to be attracted by something else. So our idea is that our tokenomics are going to redirect part of the yield in one way, shape, or form to token holders. It's what we have described with your chest. And the DAO assets that we think have value, like PAL, CRV, or CVX, instead of selling them, what would be interesting is that we would be able to give them to a sub DAO that would manage them for us. And how would they manage it? Well, they would basically take bribes with it, for example, or loan out the vote or do things like that. And the idea is that they would create floor liquidity for our products while earning revenue for the token holders of War. That's an example, but that's the general idea. So basically, the DAO Paladin would lock assets into War.
All right, see DD Moon, what you got?
Actually, I will jump on the call. It's easier. Hey guys. So yeah, I just forgot yesterday to give an update on the Discord. I saw someone asked for it. So to be fully transparent about it, the last few weeks about the sister DAO in World were mostly about research and the design that it would currently take and all that. So as Igor mentioned earlier, I think there will be a lot more information to share, mostly in the next community call. But yeah, otherwise you pretty well recapped it. It's mostly another entity that will lock tokens and generate yield for token holders.
All right, guys. Once again, yeah, community AMA chat, or if you want to unmute your mics. We haven't had a community call in now 6 weeks. So yeah, if you have any questions, please come up. Anything related to Paladin. Also, quick reminder, yes, please participate in the governance and the forums, and use the polls and the surveys. We always love to get feedback from everyone. I see DD typing something again, but I think you just mentioned it on mic. All right, awesome. So share the detailed post on the forum to get more infos. Great. Well, that seems to be it, guys. I don't see anyone else asking questions. Nothing on, of course, voice. Nothing on the community AMA. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for the continued support, and obviously this awesome growth that you've been having. With especially Quest. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Fige or Goga?
No, I think we've said more or less everything we wanted. It's always, in autumn and winter, more focused around the actual deep work than releases. Uh, there's a few products that are going to release a few big stuff right now, but the market is not adapted for a very large release anyway. So even if we had something, it would be better to release it later. But thank you very much for your continued support, guys. We're going to keep doing better every day, a bit more. See you later.
Thanks, guys.